Yeah, I didn't actually like this episode, uh, despite its many lovable factors. Hi guys, I'm Richie Roberts. This is Anime Reviews. I'm a guy that watches a lot of anime and also does some stuff on this channel like writing, directing, voice acting, all that stuff. You can check out those things later. The important part is this video. I don't know why it's important, but it is. Just roll with it. The new episode of Mushoku Tensei came out, and man, I have been seeing nothing but praise. I didn't actually want to talk about it, but it's like, this episode is getting so much praise, and I'm just like, everybody that's praising it are anime onlys. If you knew how much stuff that they had cut out, and how important it was, I mean, relatively important, you might be mad. Or and to be fair, what they did with this thing was they cut out a lot of stuff that was supposed to be at the end of Milishon and characters that you were supposed to meet. And then they skipped over to Roxy, which was a side story, a needed one. Don't get me wrong. I think it's important, the story that they told, but they dragged things out and put things in that weren't originally there in the light novel. So, I'm not the biggest fan of this episode because of that, because they cut out like some important shit. Like, they cut out meeting Rudy's aunt. They cut out this whole subplot that involved Richard and like a kid that he had saved a long time ago who now was like a very prominent and important figure in Millis. Like, there was all sorts of stuff. On top of that, Rudy's aunt had died almost a few days recently. It was saved by Eris when she went off on her own. These are things that never got covered, and I don't think we're going to have them ever show up. So I'm not putting up a spoiler review, or I'm not putting up a spoiler warning. But maybe Ray will put up a spoiler warning, or just say, hey, he's about to say spoilers right before I say them. Who knows? Ray, if you want to be kind enough to do that, cool. If you don't, I don't care. So that happened. A lot of the Roxy stuff got dragged on. If memory serves, and I'd like to think it does because I read this stuff recently, Mushoku Tensei light novel readings are on the Fat Dog Twitch, link down below, and you can watch them there. I recently covered this specific part in the light novel of Volume 5, and yeah, it did not go this long. She didn't jump around to... There wasn't like a couple of meagered kids playing hopscotch and all that stuff. Like, the first person that tried to communicate with her telepathically and failed was like, oh, I know who you are, and went to notified her parents via telepathy, and then they showed up. Like, she didn't have to go searching, and there wasn't a lot of... Now, there is still... Roxy's definitely doing some soul searching, that the emotional moments, those were from the light novel, but like, they dragged this on more than they absolutely needed to, and it has me worried what other like important moments are going to get stripped from the anime now. Let's see, the reason I was comfortable with this series was because this studio was made specifically to tell this story, and they were going to tell the whole story. So they've already said they're going to be doing the whole thing from Mushoku Tensei. But at the same time, the big reason this was done was because the creator of Mushoku Tensei was like, hey, I want this to be absolutely faithful to the light novels. And I can understand some of the reasons why they didn't use this particular part, but it's like, it's continued story. They just skipped right to the ship. Like, oh, they're on the ship. And I'm like, we really needed to see that again? Because we kind of didn't. Yeah, they had, okay, so they cut out all that stuff to get right to the ship, which wasn't really touched up on much in the light novel. I mean, it was mentioned, and it was very much a footnote, kind of like how it was in this episode. I was really hoping for the rest of Milishon, because there was some important stuff there. And then there is the whole, they could end it with him on the ship and Rudy also getting seasick. Now, Rudy got seasick for the storm, not just because he's on a boat like Eris. But yeah, there's a lot of really good stuff. By the way, Rudy's aunt is actually his mother's sister, so it's Zenith's sister. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot that I feel like I understand what they were trying to do. I just don't agree with it, and I don't think that this is definitely not one of the better episodes for me because I know what got cut out. Now, if you're an anime only, this is a really, really good episode. I absolutely understand it. But as somebody that knows about the stuff that they skipped over, those people, they skipped over two very important characters in the Militione arc that show up later on. Maybe that will be something that gets covered later. But, I mean, it's just really it's really upsetting to me that they covered the Roxy side story, but they didn't cover Eris's, you know? And it's like, really? Because, like, yes, I get that we're spending a lot of time with Eris and we've got this attachment to her, and they're like, oh, hey, don't forget about Roxy. But, like, there's another person that I don't want to spoil for people, but, like, there's another person that was shown that you don't know who they are, but they were shown, and if you know the light novels, you're like, oh my god, they showed that person, you know? And if you're far enough in the light novels, you know who that person is. But it's like, I feel like the anime is trying to say, hey, we want to throw more attention at Roxy instead of Eris. And that's kind of what this episode felt like. And I'm not saying one or the other is what you got to make here. Like, I'm saying, yes, give time to Eris and also give time to Roxy. The Eris side story I thought was really, really good, and it should have been an episode. Maybe it will be, but it kind of feels like the time has passed for that. We will be getting into the Central Continent soon, so I'm very much looking forward to that because there's some seriously good shit that's coming up in that. However, I don't agree with the choices that were made, and that's why I don't like this episode. And I think I've ranted enough about that. Thank you guys so much for checking this out. Let me know what your thoughts are down below. And if I spoiled anything for you, you could just hit the thumbs down button on the video. That's fine. If you like this content, like it. If you dislike it, dislike it. And you can yell at me in the comments, or you could chat with me in the comments. Let me know your opinion. I'm curious to hear about that. Anyway, this is the beginning of a conversation. Let's continue it in the comments down below. I'm Richie Roberts. I do things for Fat Dog, and I rant about anime because I've got nothing better to do. Bye-bye for now.